Hi, my name is Callie Kreitcher, and I'm an interstitial cystitis dietitian and lifelong IC warrior. I created this video specifically for loved ones of people suffering from interstitial cystitis. In this video, I'll explain what IC is, what to expect your loved one to go through, and how to show up for them and provide them support. So first of all, what is IC? IC is a chronic bladder condition that currently has no known cause or cure. And essentially, it mimics a urinary tract infection. So if you think bladder pain, frequency, urgency, having to go to the bathroom all the time, feeling like you always have to pee, not being able to sleep through the night because you're constantly going to the bathroom. The difference between a UTI and IC is a UTI, there will be bacterial infection present on the urinalysis, whereas with IC, there is not. Your loved one might have already gone through a diagnostic process that includes various tests, maybe a cystoscopy, which is a scope of the bladder. There are various treatment options out there. Most of them are trial and error, experimental. They may need to try different treatments. And there's invasive treatments. There's also non-invasive treatments. So there's lots that can be done. And I just wanted to start off by saying there is hope that your loved one can get relief from IC. This is not a death sentence whatsoever, but this is a very serious condition that affects your loved one physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. I want to start out by sharing with you a few descriptions of IC symptoms from actual IC warriors. IC feels like I'm carrying a red hot iron in my abdomen with super sharp spikes that is extremely heavy, burns constantly, and stabs me when I bend and move. IC is unpredictable. It goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. It's debilitating, depressing. There's an intense burning pain that has no fast way to soothe it. IC limits life activities, destroys moments of happiness. It's like a tab in your mind that's always open, even when it's in the background. IC is like having an open wound on your bladder and someone would pour lemon juice on it, or someone's holding a lighter to my urethra 24/7. And when I pee, it feels like broken glass coming out. I have a constant need to pee and be close to toilets. I have a fear of not being near a toilet. It's impossible to travel or do anything on a whim. So these are responses from real people living with IC. And as you can see, there is a variety of different symptoms and ways that it can affect our lives. Some general things we want you to know about interstitial cystitis is, again, there is no known cure, and we can't take a magic pill or supplement that's going to make it go away. And we would really appreciate that you don't suggest that there is. We aren't doing this to be dramatic or that it's in our head. And again, we'd appreciate to not have this said to us. Our lives are not the same anymore, and we ask that you adjust your expectations, at least temporarily. You likely won't understand what we go through unless you yourself have interstitial cystitis, and we don't expect you to, but you can try your very best to understand. Next, please don't suggest that we drink cranberry juice. This is not an appropriate intervention for IC. We may have lots of appointments to go to. One way that you can support us is to offer to come along if you're available. Having a second set of eyes and ears can be really helpful and can make us feel supported. So next, I'm going to dive into how our life is going to change physically, mentally, and socially. So I separated it by those three categories. And first, let's dive into the physical changes. So first, we can't always push through the pain. We may need to sit and just endure it for however long it takes. It can take minutes to hours to days. We are not trying to be difficult. We are just trying to get through the day. We can't always control when our symptoms flare. Please understand we may need to cancel plans, and it's not because we want to. We really want to spend time with you, and we're not bailing because we're lazy or we just don't want to. We truly do. Each day with IC can be different. If we have a good day one day, We may appear to be back to normal or cured from this condition, but chances are we're not, and it's possible that we flare the very next day. We may need to refrain from certain activities for a while, like bike riding, intense workouts, sitting, or driving for long periods of time. Activities like traveling will be especially difficult. So please be kind and understanding of our needs and understand we may already feel like a burden. What you can do is ask if you can help us plan ahead if there is an upcoming trip. Eating is going to look different temporarily. As an IC dietitian, I can tell you your loved one probably was given or prescribed a diet called the IC diet. You can look it up on the internet. It will be pretty straightforward. We are going to be recommended to not consume things like citrus, tomato, chocolate, soy products, drinks like caffeine, coffee, alcohol, carbonation. And this can be overwhelming, but I want you to know that this should be temporary. It's recommended to do an elimination diet that takes around 3 months to figure out your loved one's unique diet triggers if they have any. Some people don't. So you may need to help them through that process, maybe get educated on the elimination diet, maybe if your loved one typically cooks meals at home, you can volunteer to do the cooking instead for that period of time or offer to help. If they refuse help, then maybe be okay with eating the same food that they are or adding your own seasonings after. So we would just love if you took an interest in these new diet restrictions. And we don't expect you to know everything or be perfect, but just showing that interest and taking that initiative is really helpful. Next, we may need to use a pelvic wand or dilator to stretch our pelvic floor muscles. A lot of us will be recommended to go to pelvic floor physical therapy, and these are certain homework exercises that we may get recommended. And you are absolutely allowed to be curious. You're allowed to ask questions, but if you could refrain from making any jokes, that would be much appreciated. This is a legitimate treatment for IC, and you should treat it like it's any other stretches or exercises a physical therapist orders your loved one to do. Specifically for our partners or significant others, we understand your needs when it comes to being physically intimate, but we may need to pump the brakes on that for a bit. Please don't make us feel bad if we're unable to be physically intimate or just don't have the desire to. This is likely not a reflection of you, but of the pain and symptoms your loved one is experiencing. There's definitely hope for this in the future, but we ask for your patience right now. So moving on to mentally, the changes that may occur or how you can support your loved one, check in with them and ask how their mental health is. This condition does take a really big mental and emotional toll on your loved one, and you may need to give them a space to vent if they need it. Ask, hey, is there anything you need to get off your chest? Anything you need to complain about? Just give them that space. We sometimes feel bad about complaining, but getting things off our chest can be liberating. Next, verbalize your support and that you're not going anywhere. We sometimes feel like we're damaged goods. And by you just verbalizing that you're not going anywhere, you're supporting them, you love them, that is huge. Next, we may feel self-conscious about our body, especially if we're bloated or gaining or losing any weight due to maybe diet restrictions or medications we're taking. Please refrain from commenting on our appearance. And lastly, remind us that it's okay to slow down and take care of ourselves. If we're having a really busy week at work and you can tell we're really wound up, stress is a huge trigger for people with IC. And just checking in and reminding us that hey, you seem to be going through a lot this week. Make sure you're taking time to calm your nervous system, take care of yourself, take a bath, whatever you need to do, just to check in with your mental health. Moving on to the social changes that will occur, your loved one's social life will likely change. This can be temporary or maybe the new norm. Going out to eat can be especially stressful, especially with the new diet restrictions they may be following. They may need to call ahead, or when you're at the restaurant, they may need to ask various questions before ordering. And even after being ensured that there is no diet irritant in the food, they may still have a level of stress or paranoia that there is somehow a trigger in their food. So just be aware of that, be sensitive to that, and just be there for them. If we don't share much about our IC with you, it may be because we're uncomfortable or don't know how to bring that conversation up. You could ask if we want to talk about it, and we can let you know if we're comfortable having that conversation or not. Even if we're not, it goes a long way to just ask. And then we know that that line of communication is open moving forward. And when we're ready, we can feel a little bit more comfortable bringing that up. Next, we may feel jealous of you or other people in our lives that are able to live without restrictions. It's hard to see people eating the foods that we are told we can't have, drinking alcohol, drinking coffee, doing things in their social life that we're unable to do in the present moment. There can be feelings of jealousy that arise. So just be aware of that and support us if we need it. Specifically for spouses, what you can do, especially when your partner, loved one is in a flare, you can ask them what they need. Ice pack, hot pad, water, medications, whatever that may be, ask us what we need. Your partner may like physical touch. So if they do, hold their hand, give them a hug, rub their back, play with their hair. If they're not a touchy-feely person, ask them if they need some space. Use kind and soft language and tone. Just be as sensitive to the situation as you possibly can. You can also offer to help with general self-care. Maybe your loved one is struggling to get out of bed and you may need to help them bathe. Maybe if your loved one's flaring and they're stuck on the toilet for hours, ask them if they want some company. If they don't, they'll tell you. And lastly, lower your expectations around completing house chores during flare-ups. So cooking, cleaning, walking the dog, taking the kids to school, whatever that looks like, they may need your help with it. One other thing I want to note is if you are unable to make an effort to provide support to your loved one, understand we may need to take space away from you. We only want positive support in our life during this difficult time. We need to stay optimistic. We need to stay hopeful. And if you are bringing negative vibes, judgment, whatever that may be, into your loved one's life, they may need to cut you off. But that's why you're watching this video, so you can support your loved one. So props to you. Lastly, I want to show you some quotes from different IC warriors who have had a good support system to show you what showing up for your loved one and supporting them can look like. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It shows that you really care. You're taking the initiative to support them and learn more about this condition. If you are looking for resources to learn more about interstitial cystitis, I'm going to list a couple different places you can look on the screen. And if you ever have questions or want to reach out to me, you can reach out on social media at Callie K Nutrition. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's going to go a long way for you with your loved one.